You might see that recording pop up. Just know that we can record these sessions so that you all can watch back later. But hello, Elon parents and families. My name is Robin Lane Jimenez, and I am the Assistant Director of Parent Engagement here at Elon University. Thank you for coming to our Phoenix Families live webinar. Today, we are joined by staff members from Elon's Isabella Cannon Global Education Center, which you might also hear called the GEC, and they will help us learn more about semester and summer study abroad programs and Study USA opportunities. I have the pleasure of introducing Ranice Johnson-Guy, Director of Study USA, Carmen Boggs, Director of Semester and Exchange Programs, and Ashley Lynch, the Business Manager at our GEC. We are also joined by Allegra Lang, the Executive Director of Global Programming, Ashley Pinney, Director of National Campus Programs, and Megan Hernandez-Green and Rose Danthin, Program Coordinators at the GEC. So without further ado, I know we have a lot of information to share with you today. I'm gonna pass things over to Ranice.
Good afternoon, parents. It's so good that you are with us today. For our objectives for today, we're going to present some options to you. Hopefully, this will get you and your student excited about study away programs at Elon. We will have some monitors monitoring the chat, so they will be able to respond to your questions live. But if there might be a couple of questions that we might broadcast for all parents to hear the answer to. But if you do have questions, you can add those to the chat. We are hopefully providing you guidance on what to expect regarding study away programs. So if your student has an interest in doing any study away programs, hopefully the information that we're providing for you today, you and your student will be able to talk over Thanksgiving about the different programs that Elon has to offer. Now, we're not going to be able to address specific questions. We're going to give you pretty much a real broad overview during this presentation. So if you have specific questions for your students, please send us an email and we'll be able to address them. Your students are always welcome to come to us directly. We have quick question hours in the GEC, so they're open to come to the GEC when they have time, and they can also send us an email as well. So this webinar is really just going to focus on some semester away options and some summer options as well for Study USA. So hopefully you get all the information that you need. So take your pen and your paper out so you can take some notes. And I'm going to pass it on to Carmen right now. That's going to give you some more information.
Sorry, y'all. Had my mute on, of course. Again, welcome. Thank you for being here. To talk a little bit about our study away options, I want to start by giving you a quick overview of the many ways that students can take their Elon education off campus, what we call study away. This includes both study abroad and Study USA programs. Together, they offer students an incredible range of opportunities, more than 90 distinct programs in over 35 countries around the world, plus domestic options in some of the country's most dynamic cities. Our study abroad programs range from independent university enrollments to Elon Centers Abroad, while Study USA focuses on pre-professional experiences in places like New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and Charlotte, as well as some winter term options. And we're really proud of the fact that Elon's Study Abroad program and Study Away program has been consistently ranked among the top in the nation for participation and quality. In fact, we were just ranked #1 again in the nation. So that is really good news. We're celebrating about that today. But just to also share that no matter where students go across the ocean or across the country, the goal is the same: to connect classroom learning with the real world and to help students grow personally and professionally through these experiences. And as we talk about motivations for participation, once students start exploring their options, it's helpful to think about why they might choose one type of experience over another, what motivates them to go. So for study abroad, many students are drawn to the challenge of living in a dramatically different environment. It's a chance to step out of the familiar and experience daily life in another culture, not just as a tourist, but as a I guess, a temporary local, you might say. Academically, it allows them to deepen their studies with a global or comparative perspective. For example, studying business in Spain or environmental policy in Denmark and seeing how those systems differ from what they've learned here. And often, students talk about having profound encounters with difference, learning about themselves, their values, and their assumptions in new ways. For Study USA, the focus is a little different. These programs tend to prepare students for life after Elon. They're a bridge between being a student and becoming a professional. They offer that in-between space where students can test drive careers, build connections, and start developing a professional network in cities like New York, DC, Los Angeles, or Charlotte. So, before we get into some more details, it's worth asking the bigger question of why do students study away in the first place? At Elon, we think that study away is an extension of our core values: hands-on learning, global awareness, personal growth. Whether students go across the country or across the world, these experiences offer so much more than just travel. Students gain cultural exposure and a deeper awareness of the world. They start to see how other communities live, work, and think. Academically, Study Away brings place-based learning to life. You're not just reading about policy, art, or history, you're standing in the places where those things happen. There's also tremendous personal growth that comes from navigating new environments. Students build confidence, independence, and adaptability. Many also find meaningful community engagement opportunities, whether through internships, service learning, or local partnerships. And of course, these experiences help with professional development. Students learn transferable skills like problem solving, communication, and cross-cultural collaboration that employers really value. So it's not just about where students go, it's about how the experience transforms the way they think, learn, and engage with the world. When we think about what's the value of Study Away, it's not just, again, the places they go, but the skills that they build along the way. These experiences naturally develop things like independence and adaptability. When you're navigating a new city, a different education system, or even a grocery store in another language, you learn to problem solve and adjust quickly. Students also grow in openness and self-awareness. They start noticing their own assumptions and habits and how those might differ from others. That's a huge part of intercultural learning. Listening and observation skills become essential too. Students learn to read context, what's appropriate, what's expected, even when they don't fully understand the language or cultural cues. And of course, they develop critical thinking and career-related skills, things like cross-cultural communication, collaboration, resilience. Employers love that combination of flexibility and global perspective. On the right, you can see some of the competencies that often emerge: understanding cultural differences, tolerating ambiguity, being open to new ideas. These are the habits of mind that keep students or help students succeed long after they graduate. So to talk a little about study abroad specifically, one of the most common questions we get is, what's the difference between all these program types? So this chart here helps show the range. On the left, we start with the independent programs, things like exchange and direct enroll options. These are really great for students who are comfortable navigating a host university on their own. They're really integrating into the local system. They're taking classes alongside local students, arranging their own housing in some cases, a couple of cases anyway, and experiencing day-to-day student life abroad. Programs like Ikare in Spain or Kansai Gaidai in Japan fall into that category. Then we have kind of the middle ground, which offers a little more structure while still keeping that local connection. Hybrid programs such as FIE Dublin or CIEE Ghana might combine classes with local professors and courses designed specifically for international students. There's a balance of independence and support here. Next are the structured programs. These tend to be what we call island style. Students take classes mostly with other study abroad students, often taught in English, with organized housing and excursion. Examples here might include the Santana Institute in Italy or DIS in Copenhagen. And finally, on the far right, we have our center programs or our Elon signature programs, places where Elon has a higher level of presence or partnership. These often have an Elon faculty member there teaching a core course. So students are fulfilling core requirements here. as well. Our centers in London, Florence, Singapore, and New Zealand are examples of that. So as you move from left to right, the programs become more structured and more connected to Elon and a little less independent. The right fit really depends on your students' goals, comfort level, and the kind of experience that they are hoping to have abroad. Now, one of the things we always emphasize, especially to students, is that study abroad is still school. We've got that study part and study abroad. It's exciting, it's immersive, but it's also academically rigorous. Students will take a full course load abroad, just as they do at Elon. Most programs include at least, a required course, often related to the host culture or location or language. Those programs that do have required courses are not optional. We can't opt out of those requirements. All of these courses count towards their Elon GPA. So the grades that students earn abroad come right back to their Elon transcript. That sometimes surprises people. This is not a pass fail or extra credit travel. It is absolutely grades that are taken abroad are calculated into their cum GPA back here at Elon. Academics also take precedence over travel and social activities. It can be tempting to treat weekends like mini vacations, but classes come first. Many courses will make creative use of the location. A history class might meet at a local museum or a government building, for example, but it's still a serious academic commitment. Students should expect that they may experience different dynamics in the classroom. Interactions with professors and the general format of classes can vary a lot. In some countries, there's less continuous assessment and more emphasis on one or two major exams or papers. And finally, attendance policies are often stricter than at Elon. Missing a class or several classes because of travel, for instance, can directly affect a grade. So the bottom line, study abroad is an incredible learning experience, but it's not a break from academics. It's academics in a whole new context.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about another opportunity for your student to go away, Study USA. As Carmen mentioned, it is a place-based learning program. Students are growing academically, professionally, and personally in the Study USA program. Academically, students will receive a internship credit based on their major. That is part of the core program. That is a core component of the program is the internship. Students will complete 2 ELRs as well because they are doing an internship as well as going away. Majority of the classes that are offered during Study USA is relevant to their coursework here at Elon. So currently we have core capstones for students to take during the summer program in LA, New York, and DC. And in Charlotte, we have the advanced study course that all students are able to take. And just remember, it is place-based learning. So students are learning at these locations and they're able to use what they're learning in the classroom at their work location. Professionally, they are definitely collecting with Elon alums, which is great because this is part of the program as well. We're not just having students in these locations and not getting connected. We want them to get connected with Elon alums. We also have networking events with industry professionals. So out in LA, if they're interested in the entertainment field, there'll be some industry professionals coming into the space so students can start building their network. They also have corporate visits where they get to go into the corporations and meet some employers at these different locations. So we want students to definitely find their professional community in these locations. And personal, we want them to be able to explore the city. So they do even give back to the city that they're living in. So each location has a volunteer opportunity. They also do it as a cohort. So students that are going into these locations, they're not doing it alone. They're with an Elon cohort, which is great because now they're expanding their network, not only in the professional realm, but also back on campus because they're living with students that they probably never saw on campus out in LA or New York. And it's full of excursions. We want students to really get a joy out of being in the location that they're living in. So there definitely are some excursions to the Hollywood sign or maybe to the Empire State Building if they live in New York. So it just really depends on the location, but we want to make sure students are out there as well, experiencing the city that they're living in. So we want students to really try out a major global city within their program, really getting to experience what it feels like to be a professional in their major. So the locations, as I mentioned, we have Los Angeles, California, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Charlotte, North Carolina. So the way the structure is for Los Angeles is only available for summer and spring. For the summer course is one core capstone taught by Elon faculty. But in the spring, for students that are really interested in an entertainment industry, they really want to go in during the spring semester because those classes are actually taught by industry professionals. In Los Angeles, they stay in apartments. And the great thing about Los Angeles that we do have on-site staff. So students will be able to connect with Brad and Macy, who actually lives in Los Angeles, being able to share with them some of the exciting things that LA has to offer. In New York City, currently, we just have summer only. And summer, again, is a core capstone taught by Elon faculty. The great thing about this program is that students get to stay in New York house, no, NYC house, I'm sorry, NYU housing. And they also have alumni networks and excursions as well. Washington, D.C., we are starting our inaugural program for a faculty-led summer program. Again, it's taught by Elon faculty, which is a core capstone. Students are going to stay in apartments in D.C., but still the same model where students are going to have alumni networking and excursions as well. The only option with DC is in the fall and the spring, students are able to participate with a provider called the Washington Center. We do not have the Washington Center for the summer, but we do have students to have an experience in Washington during the fall and the spring. Washington Center is the only internship placement program. So please keep in mind that Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., summer only, and now Charlotte, it is not a place-based internship placement. We do assist students in getting internships, but we do not have a pipeline where students are automatically entered into an internship during the summer or the fall or spring. Washington Center is the only option for that. And now lastly, for Charlotte, North Carolina, we do have a core capstone again taught by Elon faculty. But the special thing about Charlotte is that we have in the fall a sports program. So any students that's really interested in the sports industry, they're able to participate in Charlotte during the fall. That's taught by Elon faculty. They also stay in apartments, and we do have on-site staff in Charlotte. So the two places that we have on-site staff is LA and Charlotte. New York and Washington, D.C., we have a faculty-led program during the summer. So Study USA, the internships, please keep in mind that students, they do earn Elon credits and they do fulfill that ELR. Opportunities combine academic coursework with professional experiences in New York, LA, DC, and Charlotte. Now, internships, as I mentioned, is not a placement program, but students work with SPDC. We have one person who works with all Study USA students to help them with their resume and their portfolio development. They help them with job search and interviewing experience. And then they also get them connected with some industry professionals and some alumni in their field of choice. So they have opportunities to really work with someone here on campus to help them find that internship. And as I mentioned, that the one program that is guaranteed an internship placement is the Washington Center. But the Study USA program really allows students to take ownership of this search process and really fostering initiatives of independence. We want students to really feel independent in this process of finding their job, crafting their resume and their cover letter, and then searching for their job in one of the 4 locations. So it's all part of the Study USA program. And then the academics part, for fall and spring semester, students will have a full-time course load, so at least 12 credits for a semester and 6 credits for the summer. All grades that they receive in any of the locations count towards their Elon GPA. So again, as Carmen mentioned, this is not a vacation. Students really need to buckle down and do the coursework because it will affect their GPAs. And all locations will fulfill the 2 ELRs. Summer, Charlotte, LA, New York, and DC. Students will prepare to make the most of their program through a spring term pre-departure course. So every student that is thinking about doing a summer program, we do have a pre-departure course that is 1 credit in the spring semester, and that's helping them to get geared up for their summer program. Again, LA, DC, and New York summer, they have the core capstone, and it's only for rising juniors and seniors. Rising freshmen are not allowed to take a core capstone. However, for the summer, the Charlotte cohort is an advanced study course, so it's open for all classifications. And so we're really asking that you help your students to start planning now. If they are really thinking about doing a Study USA program, then this is something that they should start thinking about in terms of when they want to go. Do they want to go during the summer? Does it work for them for the fall or the spring? Really start planning how their academic plan would look if they was to place Study USA a part of it. And I do want to just preference that applications are open still for summer. For Charlotte, New York, DC, and Los Angeles, they do close December 1st. So if you have a student who's really interested in having a summer internship during the summer at one of these locations, please keep in mind that the deadline is December 1st. And if they're interested in the Charlotte or the Washington Center program, applications are now closed, but they will reopen December 1st to February 15th. And one exciting thing is Elon's Love School of Business is launching their inaugural Summer Business Institute. It's open to any major. Skills for every major. It's business skills for every major. So applications are now open for early decision, and it closed December 15th. So any student that would like a minor in business administration, they're able to stay in Charlotte for a 10-week program, working with Elon faculty out in Charlotte and getting this a minor in business administration within this 10-week program. So if you are interested in this, please visit their website because applications are open now. And now I'm gonna pass it on to Carmen.
Okay. So often, a question that would come up is where will my student live? So housing looks different from program to program, and that's part of what makes each experience unique. Excuse me, some students live in residence halls that feel a lot like a residence hall here at Elon. Others might be in apartments, which gives them a little more independence. They're grocery shopping, cooking, figuring out the washing machine, all that very real life learning moments. There are also homestays where students can live with a local family. And that is really a wonderful way to experience everyday culture, practice language skills, and really feel like they're a part of the community. And then for certain field-based or environmental programs, you might see more rustic housing. That's definitely less common, but the students love it that are participating in those programs. So housing is usually included in the program cost, but we always encourage families to check the program budget sheet just for those details. So just like academics, housing varies, and we help students think through what kind of environment will help them feel comfortable and successful abroad. Okay. So some fundamental truths of experiential learning. One of the most important things we talk about with students and sometimes with parents too is that growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. I really love this quote from Brene Brown: if you're comfortable, I'm not teaching and you're not learning. I think that really sums up the study abroad experience, and often the study away experience as well. When students step outside of what feels familiar, whether that's navigating a new city, adapting to a different classroom style, or living with a host family, there's bound to be some discomfort. And that's actually where the learning happens. You'll see on this image, this little target. The center is comfort. The middle ring is learning and the outer ring is panic. Our goal is to help students live in that learning zone where things might feel new or a little challenging but still manageable. We never want students in the panic zone, but we also don't want them staying entirely in comfort either. That stretch, that in-between space, is where they grow in confidence, adaptability, and self-awareness. So when your student calls home feeling a little out of their depth, that's often a sign that learning is happening, and that's exactly what we want. So everything we've talked about, the academics, the housing, that stretch between comfort and learning really points to one big goal: independence. Studying abroad isn't just about where students go, it's about who they become. It's a crash course in problem solving, communication, and resilience, all those adulting skills that don't always fit neatly into a syllabus. We like to encourage parents to take on more of a coaching role than a carrying one. When your student runs into a challenge, maybe a class registration hiccup or a housing question, instead of jumping in to fix it, try asking, "What have you done so far to solve it?" And that helps them build confidence and resourcefulness. We also really want students to lead the process themselves, completing forms, contacting the Global Education Center, managing deadlines. When they own the logistics, they also own the experience. And finally, we always say, trust the process. There will be moments of uncertainty, and that's okay. Learning to navigate those moments is part of becoming an independent, capable adult. So, as hard as it can be to step back sometimes, that space you give them is exactly what allows them to grow. So, of course, we want to support them before they do leave, right? So before students ever leave campus, they have a whole network of support to help them prepare. Every student works directly with a GEC advisor and completes an Elon application, even if they're going through our partner program. That's everyone has to do that. That means we're keeping track of their progress, deadlines, and safety details from start to finish. We also have identity-based resources on our website, things like considerations for students of color abroad, LGBTQ plus students, first generations travelers, and more. These are designed to help students think through how aspects of their identity might shape their experience in different contexts. It's important to know that the level of service varies quite a bit depending on the program. Some of our programs provide a lot of handholding, visa guidance, detailed pre-departure materials, even local orientation sessions, airport pickup. Others are more independent and expect students to take the lead, which can also be a great learning opportunity. All students participate in a program-specific orientation, either through Elon or the host program or both. Depending on the program, that might include visa prep sessions, orientation directly from a partner organization, or even internship support. So while the exact format may differ, no one is going into this blind. Every student gets structured support to help them feel ready and confident before they go. Now, let's talk logistics, the practical details that make study abroad possible. First, passports. Every student who's going abroad will need a valid passport, and we recommend it be valid for at least 6 months after their expected return date. That's an international standard many countries use for entry. If your student's passport was issued when they were under 16, it's only valid for 5 years. So double check those expiration dates early. And since renewing a passport can take several weeks, sometimes longer, we always say sooner is better. Next, visas. Many programs, especially semester or ones that have internships, require a visa, and those can take time to secure. It's important that students wait to make personal travel plans until they know what those visa requirements look like. Some students will have to send off their passports temporarily for processing, so that timing really matters. And we are not in control of visa processing in any other country because that is absolutely the domain of their government. Finally, getting to and from the host site, students are responsible for purchasing their own flights, but they will receive detailed guidance from either their GEC advisor or their program partner about when to arrive and depart. In general, we recommend waiting until official acceptance has been issued before booking anything. If students are waiting a while to get that official acceptance, then we recommend getting a flight that can be changed or canceled so that no one's out of money if the worst happens, right? Most program calendars include move-in, orientation, classes, exams, and move-out. So those published dates are what travel should be based on. So while there's a lot to coordinate, we make sure students and families have clear instructions every step of the way. I want to come back to something we really believe in here at Elon, that a term away, whether abroad or domestic, is one of the most powerful developmental experiences a student can have. So when students go abroad, they're not just traveling or even studying in a new place, they're learning how to adapt, problem solve, and navigate challenge in ways that are very different from their first year of college and definitely different from a family vacation. We talk a lot about, I guess we'd call it productive discomfort, that space where things feel unfamiliar, but students are still growing and learning. With the right mindset, that discomfort becomes confidence. One of the best ways parents can help is by encouraging ownership. Ask your student what they've done to find information or solve a problem before you jump in to fix it. That helps them develop independence and life skills they'll carry long after our program ends. And if you'd like to read more on this idea, there's a great resource called A Parent Guide to Study Abroad, published by the Institute of International Education. It's full of helpful advice and real examples from families who've been through this journey before. But ultimately, your support paired with a little space for your student to stretch is what makes this experience truly transformative.
All right, so then I'm going to get started with kind of diving into the details, getting a little bit more specific on where you can find that information you're looking for your student, whether it's program details, program cost. We'll talk a little bit about funding your experience as well as health and safety. All right, so where to find us? So online, we've got a website link here for you. It's elon.edu/global, or you can just Google Elon Global and it typically comes up first there on the list. It'll have Isabella Cannon Global Education Center. So what can you find at our website? So you can search programs here. You can find general deadlines for applications. Students can access advising appointments. So check out to see when our advisors are available. You can also, as Carmen mentioned, access identity-based resources, information regarding financial planning, and lots more. So we encourage you to go to our website and start searching through it. So in this next slide, we'll kind of show you, once you get to our website, if you'll forward to the next slide. There we go. Perfect. So here's the homepage of our website, Isabella Cannon Global Education Center. So this is where you'll come to first to find us. So if you'll go over to the next slide, you can see that if you go to the Global Experiences tab, and I've got some animation going on here so you can see certain things. So go to the Global Experiences tab, you'll see the options for semester abroad, short-term abroad, which that's many of your questions regarding the winter term programs that folks are asking. And then we've also got Study USA. So you can access the different programs there, or if you want to go straight to searching for specific programs, there's the Explore Program button at the top. In this next slide, we'll show you what that looks like once you go to the Explore Programs page. And so it's going to take you to this program discovery where basically your student or you can search a specific program, or you can click the filters and you can search by term, country, minimum GPA, the discipline of the classes that are available, what's the language of instruction. Maybe a student's looking for Spanish specific programs. It'll give you a variance of search options there. So once you go to that program discovery and drill down to your specific program, in the next slide, that's where you can find your program cost that are specific to that program, and also specific to that term, as it can change based on if it's fall, if it's spring, as well as if it's summer. So in the top section, you're going to see the billable cost. These are the fees that show up on your student's Elon account. So you're always going to see tuition. You're going to see some study away fees, whether it's the center program fee like Florence and London, or maybe it's one of our affiliate programs. You're going to see just a general study away fee there. You're going to see insurance, which is that health, safety, and sustainability fee. For all of our programs that are abroad, we do enroll students in international health and travel insurance. So that fee is included in that billable to the student's account. The second section is going to be your non-billable items. These are items that are out-of-pocket expenses for your student, and it's really based on the student and also based on provider feedback that we have gotten. So as you can see there, your estimated international airfare is going to vary based on where your student's traveling from. Each location may have a resident permit fee, some don't. So that's going to be a varying item based on the program that your student's attending. There's passport, spending money, again, another discretionary expense. Maybe your student likes to go out to eat a lot, or maybe they're going to cook a lot. That may differ. Books and supplies, visa fees, as well as visa associated expenses. It could be that your student has to travel to a consulate in a certain state based on what state they're from. So there would be some maybe associated expenses there. So in meals and other items that you might find based on the program. So the one thing that I want to answer is someone asked about housing. So if housing is included in your program, excuse me, if housing is not included in your program, you will see an additional housing cost under non-billable fees. So pretty much for all programs, housing is included in that tuition and that program fee in the top billable portion. Again, if it's not included, you will find that housing fee in the non-billable section. But again, make sure you're looking at your specific program to see exactly what your program costs, because it does vary based on the program. All right, so funding your experience. So all financial aid that your student has on campus is typically can be applied to their study away experience, depending on if it's a semester or a summer. So it's going to vary depending on the term and depending on your specific financial aid package. So make sure that you meet with financial aid to kind of discuss that and how that's going to work. A lot of students come to us, they have Elon Experience grants. That's a travel grant towards their study away. They're able to do that. They need to work with academic advising and let them know that they're going to be studying away and that they would like to use it for that specific term. Other students have fellow grants, whether it's leadership fellows, business fellows, etc., that can be applied towards their study away experience. They're able to use that. In the student's application, the student can basically just check a yes or no button to request consideration for a need-based scholarship that we have here at the GEC. It requires the student to have a recent FAFSA on file, and then it's only available for students' first study away program. And it is available for all terms, but it has to be their first study away program. So that's just something in their application. They can check yes or no if they're interested in being considered for that. But basically, your aid that you get on campus is applied towards your study away experience. All right, when it comes to help, so our partners on site can facilitate access to almost all types of healthcare required by your student. As I mentioned earlier, all study abroad students are enrolled in international medical and travel insurance through INEX. That's our insurance provider. So we want to make sure that your student is thinking about medical and wellness needs far in advance, whether it's prescription, medication, making sure that they have enough for their time away, whether it's mental health, and your plan for that while they're away. Many of our programs can offer disability accommodations, but we ask that you get with an advisor for that program as soon as you can to start communicating that to them. We invite you to also visit the cdc.gov and the State Department travel to look at the risk for those particular areas. That's one of the ways that we analyze risk, where we're sending students, and then also you can sign up for their STEP program, which will send alerts to you for those particular areas, whether it's in regards to any kind of medical issues. So that's the CDC website, or even your travel advisories. That's the State Department website. As far as mental health goes, please know that mental health can be a serious concern while your student is away. These programs tend to exacerbate or bring those challenges to the surface when they're studying away. Sometimes folks may say, well, let's just go away and we can get away from it. Sometimes it brings some mental health concerns a little bit bigger while they're away. So we ask that you prepare. So make sure that your students' usual support structures can be able to access, because sometimes it can be difficult. If your student experiences anxiety, depression, or other mental health challenges, we ask that you work closely with their current care provider to kind of evaluate these experiences and how they can get the care that they need while they're away. And then all of our study abroad students, excuse me, all of our study away students have access to that study abroad and study USA have access to TELUS Health for mental health support. So this is an app that your student can have on their phone so that they're able to access from a wide array of, it could be a workout to help support that mental health, or it could be access to a live mental health support person so they can talk to someone very quickly. So it's a great app that we have and able to offer to our students through our insurance. All right, as far as safety goes, we cannot guarantee your students' safety while they are abroad, but we partner very closely with our institutions, with other institutions, our partners, and we have developed risk management and emergency plans for each provider in each area where your student is traveling. We also can provide to your student an alert traveler app. They can download it 1 month prior to departure. And so basically, it's going to allow them to sign up for alerts in their area, from as simple as a traffic alert to as big as an earthquake or natural disaster or something along those lines. Only the student can download this app. And then they're able to get alerts based off their itinerary of where they're going to be at the time, but they can also set it up where they're sharing their GPS location, so it will send them alerts specific to exactly where they are in their vicinity. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the U.S. Department of State, the STEP program, this is something that parents can do. They can sign up so they can get those travel alerts in the area where their student's going to be. Just to let you guys know that we use a variety of information to kind of sources to evaluate our risk. Again, U.S. Department of State, the Overseas Security Advisory Council, the CDC, and there's other government resources that we use. There's private risk management organizations like Drum CUSAC and World Aware that we have access to through iNext and Alert Traveler, so that we're always kind of analyzing and evaluating the risk where your student's going to be, so that everyone is well informed. All right, so let's talk about action steps as we close this out. All right, so the biggest thing is the deadlines. So you've heard deadlines already from Ronise and Kerman, but just to have them all here on one slide for you, the study abroad deadlines, as you can see, for summer, fall, and spring, or for summer and fall, our early action period ended on November 15th. Our next cycle for that will open December 15th and run through February 15th. So make sure that your student for summer and fall, especially for fall, because that's our competitive season, that your students are getting their applications in as soon as it opens back up December 15th. And then for Study USA, the cycle is a little bit different. As Ronise mentioned, summer is currently open until December 1st. It closes a little bit earlier because we do have that spring pre-departure course that we want students registered for prior to summer. And then we have fall, which will open back up on December 1st. And then again, for spring applications, they open back up in April 1st. So applications are currently open for Study USA, and they will be opening back up December 15th for Study Abroad. All right, so we are here to help. So I think it was previously mentioned, but your student is always able to drop in for quick questions. They're available when class is in session. So like next week we're on break, so they're not available for quick questions. But it's Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 2 to 4. There will be an advisor here to answer quick questions for your student. Your student can also access individual advising appointments. As you saw on the website, there was an access advising button at the top right. So they're able to click that and then drill down to their specific advisor, specific program, and schedule an advising appointment with that advisor. There's also a chat box on our website. If you've got questions that you want to go on there and just ask quickly through the chat bot, you're able to do that. For first year students, we ask that you start exploring our website, really start diving into the various programs, determining what you really want to do. Maybe come into the quick questions time period and start thinking about what's going to work best for your grad plan. In the second year, start making appointments for those program specific questions, and then work more towards updating your grad plan. And then just always keep an eye on those deadlines, to make sure that you're getting your application on time, but you're also keeping an eye on those withdrawal deadlines too. So we've included our QR code here for our Elon Global Instagram, where parents can kind of take a look and see what we've got going on. But we're here to help. And so I guess if we've got any more questions in the chat that we can answer, we're also on this last slide. Again, we're at the Isabella Cannon Global Education Center. There's our main email address and phone number there. So we're always happy to answer your questions via email or phone. And so I will send it back over to Robin.
Thank you so much. Packed full of wonderful information from Ronise, Carmen, and Ashley. Thank you so much. We do have a few other questions to get to. And remember, everyone, if we do not get to a specific question that you have, there's many ways to reach out to the GEC. So the first question that we'll start with is, will you address the application process for competitive study abroad opportunities?
I can answer that question. Typically, what we mean by a competitive study abroad opportunity is one in which we find that our applicants for a program exceed the number of places that we have to offer for students. We notice now that we have been receiving some fluctuations in what we have always considered competitive. So in the past, those have typically been the Florence Center, the London Center, DIS in Copenhagen, and we have a program in Spain with ICADE, which can waitlist because it's an exchange and we only allow a certain number of students to go. We're actually taking a look at our numbers from this application period, and right now we might be seeing some shifts in that. But typically what happens with competitive programs, I know that this year my colleague Rose and I manage the London Center, she manages the Florence Center. We have offered information sessions to give students ideas to just make sure that they know what the program is about. We've offered guidance as far as application guidance in a guide so that students would know how to address some of the questions that they may have in just applying, and then given some hints about the application rubric. So we go through and basically we're looking at thoughtful answers, making sure that students are actually engaging with a question. We're making sure that students are identifying courses that can work for them and that will keep them on progress for graduation. We do, of course, review GPA, but it is not the number one element of our application process, which a lot of people do ask, and it really is more about those essays and how people can give us a sense of who they are. And I can tell you that we will be giving our decisions for fall 2026 on December 17th. That will be our decision day, and so students will be notified then to know if they've been placed or waitlisted, or if we recommend them trying to find a different program for the spring. Yes, hopefully that's answered some of
It
that briefly.
does, yes, appreciate that. And kind of a follow-up question of, can you explain what happens if students don't get into the selective study abroad program and that they've applied to? What happens once that happens?
Sure. So the programs that have typically historically been competitive, we do have an extra questionnaire in their application portal where we were asking them for what's their backups. Now, we do not hold students to what they put on this, but we just want them to start thinking. Like we say, these are the programs that typically waitlist. Are there other places that you would consider? So we're trying to set that up for students to know ahead of time, right? So basically, if they are waitlisted, we will tell them the number that they're waitlisted on so that they can get a sense of, is this likely? Should I really think about another program? Once we give the decisions, and if they're not really able to join one of the programs that they wanted to join, then we've shut down, of course, as of the 15th, our programs are now, not open. We will reopen for rolling admissions in January. Now, those programs that did waitlist will not be opened for rolling, but that gives everyone an opportunity in between the decision day and the very beginning of January, which I believe January 5th is the day we reopen everything again. That students can really think and go through what would be our second choice. Where else would we like to go? And then our advisors will be reaching out to students to let them know their status. And to open the line of communication, there'll be a form that they can fill out to say, actually, I'd like to be considered for this program instead.
Fantastic. So there are other opportunities if you do not get into your first
Absolutely.
choice program. It's great to hear. Thank you, Carmen. Our next question, we have time for a few more questions. Can you speak to how study abroad specific scholarship opportunities might affect students' Elon financial aid package?
So, as far as affecting the students' Elon financial aid package, I'm not sure what that means, but as I mentioned previously, all of the aid that the student has on campus can typically be applied to their study away experience. So it's just a matter of if it's a fellows grant or an engagement grant, making sure that they're reaching out to those specific groups. Like leadership fellows, you would reach out to the leader of the leadership fellows to make sure that they've got that applied to your account once student billing goes out. The Elon engagement grant, that's through academic advising. So there's a form that they have online that the student has to fill out in order to get that to be applied. But as far as the GEC scholarship, that one is the need-based scholarship, and what we do is analyze the FAFSA information, and also based on what aid you already have on campus, we take that into account, and then we provide the difference, right? What else is needed for that student to be able to go abroad? But it's also taken into consideration the number of students that we have studying away during that time period as well. But I think that maybe answered the question.
Yes, I believe so as well. Kind of a follow-up question. We had a slide that referred to budgets about housing. Where can folks find that information?
Yeah, so as far as housing goes, you would have to look directly at that program brochure to see if housing is included or not. On that program budgets, it's gonna, if housing is not included, it will be shown in the non-billable section of that budget sheet for that program. For the most part, housing is included in every program. Will have a few. Australia program specifically is where, and not School for Field Studies, so not the SFS programs. These are mostly your direct enroll programs like the University of Sydney, University of Sunshine Coast, Curtin University. Housing is not included there, and students are billed by that university directly or their housing provider in that area. It's not billed through Elon. So just make sure that you're looking specifically at those program brochure pages and the budget cost sheets associated with them.
Fantastic. All right, I think we'll end on one more question. We have a few questions about students, specific students like nursing students, engineering students that often have kind of a more specific layout of when they have to take classes. Any advice about study abroad for these specific students, whether it's nursing, engineering, athletes, anything along those lines for advice for these students studying abroad?
Sure. We really are trying to make sure that we have access for all students to study abroad, whatever kind of communities they belong to. So I would say, and we're always looking to find programs that would be good programs for students that are maybe in our new majors, right? So we do have a couple of options for students who are in nursing that might be an interesting experience for them, mostly in the summer, just to kind of keep them on track. We also have a winter term program, I believe, for nursing students that has been quite successful. For engineering students, we are adding more and more programs that are open to those students for a semester, like our program in DIS. and Copenhagen is one example of that. Engineering in Greece, that's another program. And there are so many in my head that I'm thinking I'm probably forgetting a lot right now. But also we have like a really good computer science program in Prague. So more and more of those STEM fields can find semester opportunities abroad. And nursing, we have not yet developed a semester program, but we're always open to figuring out how that could work too.
Course. Fantastic. And I will just share an aside that I'm an Elon alum and studied abroad more than one time, both on a program that I was my second choice per se, but it became my first choice because it was such a phenomenal opportunity, and also an unrelated trip topic to my major that was a wonderful opportunity for me to kind of think outside my major and gain some business skills. So our GEC is just a wonderful center, and we are so thankful to have wonderful study abroad and study USA opportunities at Elon. Well, that will be our last question today in the interest of time. Again, if we did not get to any of your questions, please do reach out to the GEC. As you saw, there are many ways to contact them. And thank you so much again for our folks today, Ronise, Ashley, Rose, Megan, Carmen, Ashley. Thank you so much for taking your time today to be with us, and to our parents and families. Thank you for taking time out of your day. And I hope this was an informative session. Have a good rest of your day, and thank you all.
Thank you.